So let's take a look at the role that confidence plays in leading change. Confidence, from what I've seen over the years managing and leading major change projects from around the world, confidence is the number one trait that leaders need to exhibit to lead change well. And it's interesting, why is that so? And I think that they have to be confident that they're doing the right things, confident that they're talking to the right people and that they're getting the right information, and confident that they look in front of their teams like they know what they're doing as they move forward in sometimes uncharted territory. And what I ask in large conferences is I'll ask for a raise of hands for people who've actually seen a leader who lacked the confidence to lead well. And every conference, everybody puts up their hand. And then I ask a secondary question. I say, well, how do you know? And then people will say, well, they get angry quickly, or they have an inability to make decisions, or they go into hiding. After they announce a major change, you never see the leader again, and she or he are in their offices hiding. But what we know for sure is when people lack confidence, they change their behavior from what they had before. So their teams recognize that things aren't quite right, and it's usually a negative impression, which makes them think that the change might not go well, and again, it affects their behavior. So to help leaders to say, well, how do you build your confidence? First of all, you have to define what confidence is. And there's many definitions of confidence. The one that works for me is a gentleman called Dan Rockwell, who has a leadership blog, and he says that confidence is the product of knowing what to do next. And I think it's quite profound because really I find when people lack confidence, they really don't know which way to go. And I was doing a large change, and it was a major merger, and the leader of the organization brought the team together that was actually going to be managing it from the different functions. And he was talking about how this change is going to be tough. It's going to be a new mountain that we have to climb. He wasn't sure if we were going to be successful, and he was frankly a little nervous. Again, what I'm thinking is you lack the confidence. That's not what people need to go forward. So then what he did is he said, okay, I'd like you to put an imaginary line in front of the group right here, and I want you to physically move to the spot that you feel that you're at right now starting this project. From 0, I have no confidence it's going to go well or in my abilities, to 10, I feel really confident and it's going to go well. But change management is my life, and I had been in many of these types of meetings before and many types of change management projects. So I went over to 9 because I didn't know the answers, but I knew we had the team that would get them. Almost everyone went to 2 or 3, with a couple of people at 4, one at 5. And I was shocked because when I turned around and I looked, and everyone was saying, I don't have the confidence to do well. Part of it, I think, is that people bet, they hedge their bets and they actually say, well, if I don't know, I'd rather bet low so that my expectations are lower because I don't feel good about it. But part of it, I think, is that the leader didn't exude the confidence to say, we're going into uncharted territory. I know that we can do it. We've got the team to do it. We just have to hang tight as an organization, leverage our skills, and we'll get to the other side, which he didn't do. So how do we help you build your confidence and capability to lead change well? Well, the first thing is, given that you're challenged the most when you're faced with questions that you don't know, it's how do you find those questions? How are you aware of them before you're actually faced with them so that if they actually do come up, you're well prepared and you've got the foundation of information to lead you to a good answer. The next thing is really to know how to answer questions well. And I see a lot of leaders in public forums that were faced with questions that their colleagues give to them, and they just don't know how to handle it because they don't know the answer. And instead of talking about not knowing the answer or opening it up to the team or providing additional information of when you will know, they tend to freeze, or they tend to give an answer that's not sufficient to give people confidence that, one, you're in control, you're in charge, and we're on the right path forward. And then the last thing I find, and this is the comment I made earlier about leaders really not being able to decide, or some of them when they're going through change because they just haven't made those decisions in their career before, is you really have to make sure that you have the right information, that you have the right rationale, and you have the right options to make sure that you're making a good decision. And I find that often business leaders going through change, they don't have the experience. They'll either go with their gut and make a fast decision, or they'll take the first piece of information that seems correct and they'll make a decision on that, which is very contrary to how they typically look at information, how they look at options to make the best decision going forward. So what happens is the fast decision leads to laying landmines down that 6 to 9 months down the road, the organization has to manage that could be avoided if they took the time to get the right information. So in summary, how do you build your confidence and capability to lead change well? The first recommendation is to understand the questions of change before you have to answer them. And again, with large changes, there's typical questions that come up throughout the different phases of change. If you understand them well, then if they do come up, you're coming from a solid platform instead of reacting to them and being thrown off guard. The second thing I'd recommend is to be able to answer questions well as they're asked of you from other leaders and people in your organization, because your ability to articulate good answers, even if you don't have all the facts, will lead to confidence being given to those who ask those questions and their peers. And then finally, when being asked major questions that lead to big decisions, making sure that you've got the right information, the right facts, you consider the right options, and you've got the right rationale to make a decision that's not only good for the moment, but is good for the long term, so you avoid any of the challenges that might come up from a quick or hasty decision.